Leonhardt's 90s pop-up shop went from one of the coolest things in the Pokemon history to one of the biggest fiascos. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Gym Leaders podcast, where we talk all things Pokemon TCG. I am Travis with TCG Funhouse.
And I'm ASX with ASX TCG, ready to talk about this pop-up shop craziness, you guys.
Craziness is the perfect word to explain it. We're going to have a pretty good portion of this episode talking about our opinions on the pop-up shop. Now, before we start doing that, I do want to preface a couple things. One, neither of us did go to the pop-up shop, so we did not experience it firsthand, but we watched a lot of vlogs. We've read up on a lot of websites. We talked to a couple of friends who were indeed at the pop-up shop, so we have quite a bit of information and opinions to pick through. And, you know, saw a lot of video with our own eyes and stuff like that. So even though we didn't experience it, I feel like we can at least build a pretty decent picture of what happened at the 90s pop-up shop. Now, also, there might be some negativity in this video based around Leonhardt, and I just want to say no ill will towards Leonhardt whatsoever. He's one of the head of the table, head honchos for the Pokemon TCG Content Creators Union. We'll call it a union because we should all get together and, like, you know, make sure we get paid more. Anyway. But yeah, so, you know, he was one of the major motivators for myself, and I'm pretty sure ASX as well when it comes to creating Pokemon content. Watching his videos along with, you know, Unlisted Leaf and Real Breaking Nate with my son really helped get us into this niche. So big shout out to Leonhardt for that. This conversation has nothing to do with him personally, his content, or anything like that. This is just specifically about the pop-up shop and what seemingly had taken place. Anything you want to follow that up with, ASX?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Like you said, you know, Leonhardt was definitely probably the first PokeTuber I actually watched do like an unboxing, you know, opening cards and everything. And, you know, honestly, he helped me get back into the hobby and fall in love with it again. So, you know, again, you know, hats off to him. You know, like you said, Real Breaking Nate, Unlisted Leaf, those guys too. You know, all great content creators. And yeah, you know, nothing, you know, that we say here today, like you said, is anything personal at all. You know, just trying to let you guys know how everything went down.
Yeah. Well, we would be remiss to not, you know what I mean? Like, we basically have a podcast all about the Pokemon TCG, and this is by far the hottest topic in the Pokemon TCG right now. We're in between sets. Fusion Strike has been out for a while. Brilliant Star is still essentially a month away, and there's really not much else going on in the Pokemon TCG world. So, this is our topic. We owe it to our listeners to talk about it. And I just want to start off and say, I love the idea that Leonhardt had. I think his idea was one of the greatest ideas in Pokemon card history, really. You know, his plan was to take something that was nostalgic and 20 years old and make it available to the general public. And unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. The event, I don't believe, lived up to even his expectations. I don't want to speak for him. I would like to see him put out an official notice. As of recording this, I don't think he has talked about it at all, other than like thanking people for coming out and stuff like that. But I think his idea was too ambitious. I think his dream for it was a little too grandiose, and to make it what he really wanted to make it would have cost him significantly more money than what I think he was able to put towards this. And, you know, as somebody who has grandiose ideas of things all the time, I know how that is. I get ahead of myself and I start explaining things realizing I probably won't be able to pull that off. You know?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
But I try my best. So what do you think of the 90s pop-up shop idea in general?
Yeah, I think it was a great idea. You know, be able to get some vintage packs into people's hands that don't normally have an opportunity to do that. From what it seemed, and I think we're going to touch on this later, you know, getting them at a discounted price, or what it seemed to be.
Yeah.
You know, I think was a great idea in the beginning and everything. I think you're right. I think that to do the event that I think he probably really wanted, and what a lot of us probably expected, would have cost much, much more than I'm sure went into it. It seems like a pretty small venue for what he was trying to do. I think it was around 5,000 people or so were there. You know, and just kind of, you know, logistically, it seemed like kind of a mess, you know, not going to lie. But then again, you know, kind of thinking back at, you know, how much this would have cost, you know, I'm thinking there probably had to be some concessions here and there when it came to, you know, how are we going to move people through this event, and what are people going to do when they're here, when, you know, when they're not, you know, waiting in line for packs, or, you know, what are the general admission people, you know, going to do here at this event. So I think, I definitely think there was some things that happened that were probably out of his control at the time as well, but just kind of really started to snowball. It seemed into a pretty what's the word? Pretty
tough situation. Pretty
tough situation. Yeah, I was thinking of a term that's not necessarily appropriate here for you.
Hey! So, you know, don't be getting us in trouble. All right, don't be getting us in trouble over there, man.
Trying to, you know, trying to be nice for everybody here.
Shit show.
But yeah, I just, like you said, you know, it just kind of turned into something I really think that he wasn't, you know, foreseeing.
I think what you're saying,
grand idea.
Yeah, I think what you're saying really hits the bar, you know, the nail on the head. Where I think it didn't go down the way that he thought it was going to go down. One of the biggest gripes that I have seen from people is, and you touched on it for a little bit there, was just the main event was standing in line. You know, the whole coup de grace of going to this Leonhardt's 90s pop-up shop was to enjoy this nostalgic ambiance of a feeling. That missed the mark, but people were just stuck in line for hours and hours and hours. They were in line for an hour to get into the venue, and then once they were in the venue, they had to wait 4 to 5 hours in line to get one vintage pack. That does not sound like a good time at all. There was no direction. Apparently, there was like no roped off areas. There was nobody guiding where people were supposed to go. People were just kind of figuring out on their own which line was for what, where am I supposed to go, and all this sort of thing. You know, it wasn't all negative. I heard a lot of positivity based around it too, and we'll talk about some of those things. But the number one issue seemed to be that everybody was just waiting around with nothing to do. And there was very large portions of the venue where you were waiting in line, and you couldn't even see the monitors of the people opening the packs. And you were just kind of stuck in these little corridors with just the people around you, with no food or drink, and not wanting to leave the line to go piss because you were afraid you were going to lose your spot. And it just sounds like a miserable experience. I'm sure it was hot as heck in there because there was 5,000 people jammed into a small area. And I don't think that was his plan. I think when Leonhardt was putting this plan together in his head, he saw everybody just roaming around the venue, you know, getting their booster packs and opening them up, and then having a good time after that, and visiting the vendors and checking, you know, maybe submitting some of their cards to PSA while they were there, and doing all these other things. And it just didn't seem to work out that way, you know. I would probably say that out of everybody that I have talked to and all the vlogs that I've seen and websites that I've read, it's probably been about 80% negative and about 20% positive. I did talk to a couple people who said they had a fantastic time because they were able to, meet up with some buddies, maybe some content creator friends and just hang out. And, I think there was a little small section that VIP 2 or something had access to that others didn't. But for the most part, everybody was in the mixing bowl. And they liked the experience of walking around, and Real Breaking Nate was there, Super Duper Danny was there, PokeRev was there. A lot of the more popular Pokemon content creators were there, shaking hands and chatting with people here and there. But I heard a little bit that Leonhardt really didn't make too much of an appearance at all, and that some people went to the event and didn't even know that he was there. So, I mean, what did you hear about Leonhardt making an appearance?
Yeah, so I watched a really good chunk of it on the day live. I probably watched altogether probably about 3.5, 4 hours of it.
Nice.
So almost the whole event, really. And I would say if you were watching the event online, you probably saw a lot more of Leonhardt than you did if you were actually there at the event.
Yes.
Yes. Just stories that I've heard, other videos from other PokeTubers and stuff that I've seen said, especially if you were waiting in line and not had a chance to kind of wander around, that they really didn't see him too much. I get it. He's the main star of the event,
probably
right?
So busy, dude.
I'm sure there's, probably 10 people over here asking him, where to go, what to do, and there's probably 20 people on this side asking him all the same questions, and he's trying to, trying to make everybody happy.
Plus
right?
5,000 people trying to get his attention, and hey.
Exactly. So I think most of his appearances, from what I saw at least, did happen up on stage where he would come out, kind of say hey to everybody, thank everybody for coming out, and usually stay for like one round of people up there on the front doing their cards, and he would name off the cards. And I'm sure it was an absolute blast for those people, that got him to read their cards off and everything. But I heard a couple things, and I did see some pictures where he was out kind of in the main crowd there, doing some stuff. I don't know if that was
did a lap or two.
Just caught him. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm hoping.
A PR lap or two. Hey, we gotta get you out there in the crowd for some photos.
Right. Amp him up a bit. Right. But yeah, it's a bit of a bummer. I guess if you're expecting to go there and actually get to meet him and maybe have a 30-second conversation with him or something like that.
Yeah.
It definitely did not seem like that kind of event. Like I said, I'm sure he was dealing with all the behind the scenes stuff.
Do you think it wasn't that kind of event because they brought too many people? They invited too many people. They sold too many tickets, especially with the GA crowd, the general audience crowd. Yeah. Do you think my thought is, and I want to get your opinion on this. I'm just gonna do a quick hit. Is I think this event would have been significantly better if it was more personal. If it was only the people who went into the queue and got some tickets and got the VIP, and maybe there was only 1,000 people there or 2,000 people there as opposed to 5,000, which made it just a zoo. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the venue size did have a lot to do with it. If there was more space, those 5,000 people would have been a lot more spread out and not feel like crammed in there like sardines. But
to counter that real quick, they hardly had enough decor to fill the section that they had. So now if you're doubling that size, I have no clue how they would have turned that into something.
Right. I mean, that's a whole nother topic too. I mean, I feel like it all came down to like sponsorships and, stuff for that. Like clearly like the Pokemon company themselves had nothing to do with this event. Otherwise you would have seen so much more decoration.
Correct.
So much more money would have been put into the event. Exactly. For this first event, I think it would have been a better choice just to do like your 3 VIP levels, like you had VIP 1, 2, and 3, and cut it off there. I think if you would have done that, it would have felt less like, you're just a herd of cattle going through the whole thing. Things would have been more spaced out. And, Leonhardt, Super Duper Danny, Real Breaking Nate, Deep Pocket Monster, and I'm so sorry, I cannot remember the other hostess name. But I'm sure they could have all came around. I'm so sorry, I really cannot remember her name right now. But yeah, I'm sure they would have got a lot more chance to get out there and really talk to the crowd and, hang out with people
More
and
control.
actually have a little bit of a conversation with them. So I think for this first time around to really get a feel for how an event like this would run,
yeah,
I definitely think it would have been a bit of a better idea to do a little bit more of a private thing. However, I have a feeling I understand why he didn't do that, because from the very beginning, he wanted to make this available for anybody, right? So I think in the end, I don't know if general admission was something that was always thought of or something that was just thrown in there at the end because, they wanted to make it a bigger event.
Yeah.
But I definitely think holding off on that general admission, really explaining why you're doing that as well beforehand, why you're going to have a limited amount of spots there, I think would have been good. Definitely for this first round. I know he did talk about this being a possibility for future events. He talked even about wanting to go overseas to Europe and do something like this over there as well. And I think those would have been the times to you really branch out and have a bigger event where there's 5,000, 10,000 types, type of crowd.
Right.
After you kind of worked out the bugs, from the first event where you only had the 1,000 people there and it was more calm and private, and you could have, figured that stuff out, and maybe less negativity coming.
Well, and the one thing too that we need to remember, and I think a lot of people are forgetting about this, this was a business move. This was 100% a business move from Leonhardt. This was, and the one thing that that did bother me about the event the entire time, is he portrayed it as like this, almost like charity-esque, almost, and I don't want to say charity because he does a lot of great things with NAMI, so big shout out to him for that.
Very true, very true.
And he, that is massive, massive, massive. I cannot give him enough kudos for the stuff he does with NAMI, who's a fantastic corporation, nonprofit. But the way he would portray it is that I'm doing all of these things for this Pokemon community, for people who would not have the ability otherwise to do so. Which is cool, but everybody has the ability to do so. You go over to one little quick search on eBay or Mercari or whatnot, or go to your local conventions or anything like that, and you will find vintage packs available. So, and, he mentioned several times that he was selling them at the normal $3.99 price, but that wasn't for everybody. People who had general admission didn't have an opportunity to buy the pack at $3.99. And not only that, let's say you actually, earned one of the VIP sections. There were still tickets that you had to buy. Most people had to fly, right? So now you're paying for a flight and you're paying for a hotel stay. So you're going for the experience. And it just, unfortunately, it ended up a little bit short for a lot of people, but I didn't like the fact that he kept pushing this $3.99 pack, $3.99 pack, $3.99 pack, when if you were honestly really, if that was your main focus of this, you should have been offering $3.99 packs out for general admission customers, and you should have had enough for every single general admission customer that you gave a ticket to. That's the bottom line. If you're going to sell the event that way, you better portray the event that way, and you better realize the event that way, and I don't believe that's what happened. So that's the only negative tick mark I'm going to give him. I do think it was a little deceiving with what he was trying to do with it, but when you look at it from a business point of view, it's business. He's trying to grow his brand. He's trying to grow Leonhardt as a business, and it was very, very successful. He did a fantastic job for his business and his brand putting on this event, and he's infinitely more popular for it. He's infinitely more respected for it. I just don't like the little twist they put on it saying, we're giving all these people $4 vintage booster packs, because that's not what happened. I'm sure that he profited plenty on this event. And it is what it is. What are your thoughts on that particular thing?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we were a bit misinformed when it came to that. I know when I was, listening to him, months back, it really seemed like anybody could go to this event. You can get your booster pack for $3.99,
Yep.
vintage pack, open it up, have a blast, and that was it.
Yep.
And like you said, it's not really what it turned out to be. I don't think a lot of us were really thinking about the travel costs and everything like that when he first announced it, but that 100% comes into play.
Yep.
And it what it honestly came down to is if, you want to go out and buy a vintage pack, you could probably go out and buy one or two, vintage packs for the price it would have cost you to go down there, and actually open one up on stage. So that's a bit of a bummer.
And you wouldn't have to wait
5
5 hours for it.
That too, yeah, busting
In
your
line.
knees up on the concrete floor, just sitting there waiting. But yeah, and I think, I think what really saved it for the general admission, one was the fact that you could move around the venue and you didn't have to wait in line like herd of cattle. So that was fun. You could experience everything that they had there, minus opening up the pack. But I think the other thing that really saved it for the general admission, and I did hear this from a handful of sources that I did look at for this, was the people that were there, right? Not the other PokeTubers, not anybody hosting it, but just the other fans
Peers.
there. I saw many cases where I saw, guys walking around with booster boxes, handing out packs, free packs to everybody, mostly kids, which was awesome. They get bored super fast, to get their spirits.
Oh, I can't even
back up
imagine
from
what it would have been
back.
like having like my kids there. Oh, no way!
Oh my gosh,
They would have been
you would have had to
crying.
just probably
Man.
bring a whole booster box just to rip while you're standing there. But
real.
I think those people were the ones that really saved it. I did see a kiosk or two, with a sign up that were selling packs, but it was like 2 packs for $5, all modern stuff.
Yeah.
But like Evolving Skies and good packs that you would want. So I really think it was those that did save it for the general admission and made it seem like, they went there and they did get something out of it a little bit. He did have Veronica Taylor there as well,
Yep.
the original voice of Ash, which I thought was super awesome, that she was willing to come out
Yep.
and do that as well. That would have been super cool to be able to meet her. And, she had her own booth. You could walk right up to her and start talking to her if you were general admission. So, I don't think it was totally an upset if you did get the general admission tickets. 100% it was if your main goal was to go there and get a vintage pack. But
Yeah.
I just think it came down to maybe a lot of people didn't really read the fine print when it came to what levels of VIP you could be or general admission.
Mm-hmm.
I just a logistical mess. It kind of seems like.
Yeah, and, I can't reiterate enough. It did not go the way he thought it was going to go. I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I would like to talk about something now that I think could be a way that he could have done this, that may have been a little bit better, and that's not just hold his own individual event. Okay? I think he would have been better off partnering with somebody like a Collecticon where, hey, I'm sure that if you would have talked with Matt over at Collecticon, Matthew, he would have lit up and he would have been like, Leonhardt, hey, Leonhardt, this is what Leonhardt wants to do. Open up a pop-up shop at every single Collecticon that you guys are going to do this year. Right in the middle of the event, make it massive, make it huge, and everybody that gets in there gets $3.99 vintage booster packs until they're gone. And then that's it. He doesn't have to worry about booking a venue. He doesn't have to worry about any of the tickets logistically. All of the, the Collecticon would take care of that, or whoever he went with. It may not be Collecticon. Whatever convention he decides to partner with, maybe he just partners with every convention that comes to Dallas, But whatever that looks like, and you just get your own section of the con where you put your little pop-up shop. You don't have to worry about filling, an entire venue. You just take that little thing they had in the middle, which was really cool. The rest of the app was not good. They did not spend a lot of money on making the perimeter of the area look good or anything like that. But you physically actually build the 90s looking pop-up shop like you said you were going to do inside of these conventions, and all you do is you supply the packs if you really wanted to do what you said that you were going to do. And that's not profit off of these, right? That is literally give people the experience of getting a $3.99 booster pack. I'm sure you can find a way to get, Whatnot or Collecticon or some other sponsor to pay for some of the product as well, so you're not just eating crow. But open up your own shop right in the middle of one of those conventions till the packs are gone. Bring 10 vintage booster boxes, 360 people get packs for $3.99, and then after that it just kind of turns into autograph session, come hang out, regular product around. Because by doing it that way, you're removing all of these things that you have to worry about as Leonhardt, as the person who's putting it on. And then on top of that, you have all these other vendors and the whole other convention that's already going on as well. So you got all of the local vendors. You got all of these artists that show up to do other things. All of the other Power Rangers and anime voice actors and all these other people that show up at these conventions anyway. And you got Whatnot stage and PSA stage and all these other things that are awesome about a Collecticon. And then you add the Leonhardt pop-up shop to it. Charge Collecticon for it. I'm sure they'll pay for something like that. You know what I mean? They will pay for that to be put in their thing. So that's how I would have done it if I was in his shoes.
Yeah.
I think he bit off more than he can chew. And I think it was just a super ambitious project that he probably could have pulled off if he had more resources. If he had more resources, more help doing it, it would have been phenomenal. And I'm sure that he's going to learn a ton from this very first event. We can't forget that. This was the very, very first event that he did. Big kudos to him for even taking that risk. For even, he's a pioneer. He's pioneering stuff that could be happening in the future. Nobody would have ever thought about this except for Leonhardt.
Oh, gosh, no.
So, huge shout out to him for all that. I still think what he's doing is a fantastic thing for Pokemon fans and the Pokemon community and all that stuff. We got to give him a little bit of room to breathe. Let's give him a little bit of, support to get another one out there and try to make it a better experience. Again, he's amazing content creator. He's pioneering a lot of stuff right now. He needs our support. Let's go ahead and give him the support. But overall, this particular event seemed to be a fail. I really wish I could have gone. It wouldn't have made sense to me logistically to get there and do my thing and all that stuff. So I didn't even try to get any VIP tickets. I knew it wasn't going to be feasible for me to go, or else I would have. But that's my thoughts. That's how I would fix it, and that's how I would do the next one if I was him. What would you do? Like, what's your 2 cents? What would you do to kind of improve the, what happened?
Definitely. Well, I got to say, I think your idea with Collecticon or any other kind of convention is spot on. I think that would be absolutely perfect for him. He doesn't have to worry about all the extra stuff that he worried about other than making his little shop in the middle of the Collecticon.
Yeah.
Fantastic idea. I think that would be a great option. Another option is kind of goes along with what you said with teaming up, but maybe teaming up with some of the other top,
That's a great idea.
And making a big PokeTuber event. There's really no event right now that is like a YouTube PokeTuber type event only.
Yep.
Not that only those types of people. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you get Leonhardt, you get Real Breaking It, you get Unlisted Leaf, you get Super Duper Danny, you get these people who are linchpins, in the Pokemon content creation game, PokeRev, and then everybody, you get that area, and then everybody gets their little section. They can do whatever the hell they want, pop-up shop or whatever. That's an awesome idea.
Like, how cool would that be to be able to go to this convention of like all these YouTubers that we watch daily and like get to see them in real life and get to meet them and talk with them for a little bit. I think that would be a fantastic idea, and I know that a handful of them would be probably very happy to do something like that. I mean, he already had for PokeTubers, up on, or content creators, I guess I should say. I don't know if they're all PokeTubers, but up on stage doing hosting the whole event, so if you could just, kind of take that and mold it into something bigger where it's like a, whole PokeTuber type event, I think that would be really awesome, and then you have resources from all of those other people and, people that want to help them and, sponsor them to go to these things and do, a whole bunch of stuff. So I think that could definitely be, something for him to think about in the future, because he really kind of already took some steps to do that. But yeah, overall, like he said, he's planning on doing, some more of these in the future. I really hope that, he takes a look at this one, watches a handful of videos out there, on YouTube, just kind of talking.
I really hope he does. I really hope I hope he's okay taking constructive feedback, because there is nothing wrong getting feedback from other people's experience who that's how they feel. They're not wrong. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're not wrong. So, I'm hoping he is, I don't know him as a person individually, obviously, but I'm hoping he's okay with criticism, because I know a lot of people that aren't and they get defensive real quick. I don't want to say he's one of those guys. I don't think he is, but I hope he learns from it. I think he's a smart enough man to understand a lot of that stuff. I really do. But dude, something else would be really cool. And like, I was thinking of this while you were talking. Yeah. Like, what if he was to like just do like a nationwide, like, what would I say here? Like state to state. So like every month he'll just like go and advertise and just go to a local hobby store and maybe like a major area, maybe like Orlando, Atlanta, New York City, Boston, Las Vegas, LA, Dallas, Houston, Chicago. What if he just went to all these major cities and just went to a local hobby store and just kind of did a collab, and they did, like a 1 booster box giveaway, made it a series on his channel, Leonhardt's Pop-Up Shops. You never know where I'm going to pop up next. And right? That. Like, how awesome would that be? And that's what he does, though. He shows up with, like, let's be real, a base set 2 booster box and sells all the packs for $3.99. And he can,
I think that is a fantastic idea.
And he would be able to collab with the local shops. Yeah. They could advertise. They can say, maybe like 2 weeks in advance, hey, coming to Atlanta at XYZ Games, Leonhardt's famous vintage pop-up shop. Come get your $3.99 packs. And he only has to do 1 booster box, Only 36 people will get that deal, but for the rest of the day, he signs autographs, he talks to people, he chats with people, and that would be really, really cool. Right. And the amount that I think that type of content would carry would be phenomenal. And, the ad revenue on those particular videos, and, I mean, he would get so many views on those videos, and it would become such a hot topic, and he would become the talk of the town, and it would get so much growth from it. It would pay for those boxes themselves.
I think so. That's a much more personal event, much smaller. You get to actually meet him, which is kind of the goal, right? Other than getting that base set 2-pack or whatever.
Getting personal,
Yeah. And plus, I feel like that would be almost giving back to the LGS as well. You're bringing them business. You're bringing people through their doors. I'm sure probably people that have really never been there before. Dude. If your shops are anything like the ones near me, it's a little sketch walking inside of the shop sometimes.
He would definitely have to do his research first and make sure he's at the good ones. You're holding you're holding an event with the LGS that scalps Pokemon card. Oh, they got a $500 UPC. Great job.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He's gonna have to do some research, a bit of research. But man, I mean, that sounds like a phenomenal idea. I would love to see.
It would be amazing, dude. Like just once a month. Once a month, take a trip. Leonhardt's famous pop-up shop coming to your town. Go to the major areas. Maybe the world-renowned LGS is out there, like the one that does Comic Book Men and all those other things, and just make it a thing. And like that would be the perfect way to do what you're selling, right? He's selling us, I'm doing this for the Pokemon community. That is how you could really do it. He'd get some sweet little vacations out of it. He'd be able to go see the entire nation, see different states and different cities, and he'd be able to get a kick out of it, and he would get so much fantastic publicity for it. And it would just be, it would be a winner right there. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. If he does it, I want to cut. So that's how I feel about it, man. Let us know in the comment section, guys, if you're watching here on YouTube. What did you hear about the pop-up shop? Did you go to the pop-up shop? Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Was it a big letdown? Let us know what you guys think. Again, this was not a negative video towards Leon Hart whatsoever. I think if he can just tighten some bolts and you know, things like that, he can really turn the event into what he wants the event to be. And I think he will get there at some point. So, but you know how we do, man. Drop a sub here on the channel. If you're listening on one of our audio platforms, please give us a 5-star review and drop a follow, because you get a new Gym Leaders episode every single Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. ASX, send us home.
Yeah, special thank you to all of you that do listen on our listening platforms. We just hit 1,000 plays, over 1,000 plays now on all of our listening platforms. So thank you guys so much. That is so awesome, and we're grateful for all of you out there listening.
Absolutely, guys. Hope you have a wonderful night.